And I'm away. You'll come back in 2 weeks, right? Right? Guys? Guys? Okay, so while I'm waiting for those guys to come back, let's get set up. They've given me some facilities to help get me going. Broadly speaking, you'll set up the initial stuff and then, well, you're just left to it. There is a tutorial, but it only tells you how to work your own personal equipment. For example, it doesn't tell you how to power a facility. What you do is you build a platform and you plug power into the platform and then you put the facility on top of it. You can't just plug directly into it. It doesn't work like that. I was wandering around for the first 40 minutes, not knowing how to fire a printer up. And everything you need is built by 3D printer. And the materials, of course, of which there are a great many. Adding to the confusion is the fact that you don't mine the material, you mine a material and then refine it to get the stuff you actually need. Sphelerite refines to zinc, malachite refines to copper. Now, each material has a little tooltip which tells you that information, but you've got to find the damn stuff first. Adding, once again, to the confusion is that some materials are common to every planet, but some are only found in 1 or 2 places. Unless you already happen to know what hematite refines to, good luck trying to find that one material you're looking for. If you do want to go exploring on another planet, you'll need a shuttle. And this is where I ran into a teeny weeny little bitty bit of a problem. I landed on the moon, then I pressed the wrong button. No! Stop! Land! Go back! Reverse! Abort! Abort, you bitch! And as I landed back on the moon, I realised the booster was fried. You see, the solid fuel booster is only good for 1 round trip, meaning you take off once and then you take off twice. I'd just taken off a second time. I was stranded. But it didn't end there. First, I hadn't brought any equipment with me. Second, there were no major materials anywhere near the shuttle. Third, it turns out that while vehicles will keep your oxygen topped up while you're nearby, you can't connect the tethers to it. Tethers drag an oxygen hose between them, allowing you to breathe away from the base. But they'll only, as it turns out, connect to an oxygenator. Guess what I didn't have? So to summarise, I have nothing, there's nothing major nearby, and I can't wander far away to find them. Spiffing. I did eventually get out of this by making very short hops to a tunnel and then running like the sod in blazes when I found some quartz. I suffocated on the way back, but you can always pick the stuff up again from your backpack. I refined the quartz to glass. With the glass I made an extra oxygen tank that literally extended my options. I was able to build the oxygenator, which let me get the tether network up and running. If I had just taken an oxygenator with me on the shuttle, and maybe a couple of packs of tethers, I could have avoided all of that nonsense. It tied me up for about an hour, trying to get out of this dead end I boxed myself into. Still, you die and learn. Well, I do. That never happened to me again, because I was always prepared. I always preloaded the shuttle with basic equipment before landing on a new planet from then on. Oh, also, don't do what I did and fail to drop a beacon. All it takes is some quartz and you can mark your base's location. The beacon can be seen from orbit, so you won't have to guess which landing site your base is at, like I had to. Honestly, once you figure out what the basic equipment is, what you fundamentally need to set up a new base is, even setting up on the very hard planet Atrox isn't hard at all. What's hard is what comes afterwards. On the home planet, your base has something called an RTG. I don't know what that means either, but it supplies constant power. Once you're on another planet, you haven't got one of those and you've got to come up with something else. You've got solar panels, but they only work in the daytime. You've got wind turbines, but they only work when there's a breeze. Me personally, I went for a generator. You feed it plants, it puts out power. The only thing you've got to remember is you've got to turn it off after you've finished using it, otherwise it will just keep on generating power and it's not being used and it will just burn through all its fuel. Another option you could go for is power cells, but those are disposable. Once they're out of power, they can't be recharged, so you'll go through quite a few of them. What I'm trying to say is you're going to experience a lot of blackouts. When you get to planet number 4, you'll gain access to lithium. That'll let you build rechargeable batteries. Even if there's no sun or wind, there will still be power. Until the battery goes flat. You may have noticed in some of these sequences that I have a tractor. You can build it, it's a nice simple vehicle, attach trailers to the back of it using the power cables. You go underground and you cut a trail for it, you drive down a bit, you cut another bit of the trail for it, you drive down further, you yeah, I did a lot of that. And then one day, I realised I didn't have to. It wasn't until planet number 6 of 7 that I realised that this entire time I could have had a rover. Because the rover requires tungsten and a chemistry lab, but that requires tungsten as well. The rover is basically this 6-wheeled monster with loads of connection points all over it. And you just build a drill, fit it to the front of it, and you just drive downwards through the dirt, and it just carves a nice neat tunnel out for you and leaves a nice flat road for you to drive down. You put a paver on the front of it and it builds a road for you under your feet, whether there's one there already or not. So you can drill through an underground wall and not give a shit about the 60-foot drop on the other side. It's when you've got all these options available, you start to realise how flexible the system is. In addition to not caring what configuration you use for things, the game doesn't seem to care how many vehicle bodies you string together, as long as you can afford the power cost of moving them. And keep upgrading your shuttle size, it lets you carry more supplies between planets. And yes, you can have the stuff sticking out of the side. There's a lot of little tricks, but you'll figure them out as you go. Everything's plug and play, so experiment. There are some issues, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't. Chief among them, it's very repetitive. You do a lot of digging for resources. I spent way too much time digging with the deformation tool, when I should have been using the rover. Again, use the rover, I can't stress that enough. And if you want resources that can only be found on another planet, which you will, you'll have to establish a whole new base there. Now you can repack your entire base and move it, but it's easier just to build a brand new one. Well, I say easier, what I mean is tedious, because there's 7 planets. This game was actually on early access on PC back in 2016, so this game hasn't just popped up out of nowhere. It's just popped up out of nowhere for console owners such as myself. But the developers seem to be all over the updates, and they've got future content planned as well. But honestly, this game is a hard recommend. Not everyone will like the constant mining for materials, and it is constant at times. You'll spend bloody hours digging. What kept me playing was the constant learning experience. Every time I landed on a new planet, I learned a new trick. Possibly due to my own short-sightedness, but still. For example, medium panels can be unfolded. Yeah, I know, it doesn't sound like much, but after you've picked up and rotated those panels 50,000 times just to see what's on the other sodding side, you'll be singing the developer's praises for this little trick. Another really useful trick, facilities will use materials stored on the same platform automatically. Foundry, chemistry lab, printers, it doesn't matter. I spent, again, way too much time moving everything around manually. There's no need if you use a big enough platform. I dare say there's still a few tricks hidden away somewhere that I haven't found yet, it wouldn't surprise me. Did you know the real kicker, for me at least, with this game, is that at release on console, it's 30 quid. Now, I don't know about anyone else, but when I saw the marketing for this game, when I saw the images and the description, it immediately made me think of a certain other game that shall remain nameless. And I thought to myself, this is gonna suck, isn't it? Because I paid 50 quid for the game that shall not be named, and it was bare bones. It had nowhere close to even this. And it was, like I say, 50 quid at release, and this is just 30. Again, I know that this isn't technically a recent game, early access since 2016, but it was better than I was expecting, most definitely. And I know the developers are planning to add more content. One of the things they're going to add is proper online servers, because it sort of has multiplayer at the moment, but it doesn't really have any kind of online search system to seek other players out. You have to know who you're looking for, and then you have to hope they have the game, which they probably don't. But I think, on balance, all things considered, I think Astroneer deserves a 6 out of 10. I was toying with more than that, because I do like the game. I've gotten quite into it, but it's too repetitive, really. From a critical standpoint, a 6 is all I'm going to give it. It's above average. Maybe when the developers have added more stuff to it, maybe it might be worth more. But at release, 6 out of 10, above average, I think, even though I quite liked it. So that's it for this one. What did you think of my video? Leave a like or dislike. What did you think of the game? Assuming that you've seen it or even heard of it, leave a comment down below. And as always, if you want to get more of my annoying voice, you can hit subscribe, or you can inflict it on someone else by sharing. See you next time. Reverse! Abort! My throat really doesn't like that. I was able to build the oxygenator, which let me get the tether network up and running. I didn't mean to choke. Oh God, I am not doing well today. What is wrong with my voice? I haven't got a cold. At least I don't think I have. Drink.